following broadcast may The following broadcast may contain adult language and childish behavior. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Ass bags. It's Friday night, and once again, it's time for the Budda Show. Tonight, we welcome panel guests Z-Mom and Walter to discuss gaming, YouTube and Twitch communities, as well as content creation and streaming as a career from the parent's perspective. Featuring Glittery Bell at the news desk, resident wise guy and rant commentator Tom Fasulo, Buddarocks, that's me at Master Control. And now, live from the Budda Nation studio in Los Santos, the only YouTube talk show that makes your giggle parts jiggle, it's the Budda Show. What is going on, y'all?
What?
Hey.
Number 18, kicking off.
We're legal.
We're legal. Well, some states. For some things. Most things.
Fun fact, not to purchase cigarettes from Walmart anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Walmart. They upped the legal buying age to 21.
Wow.
So stricter than the actual state law?
I guess that's because they obviously they can't seem to find a way to train the people better. I don't know.
I guess.
I guess it's
I
hard
don't know,
to...
with the way driver's licenses and even just like a state ID, like that's all virtually scanned. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they do that here. They'll scan your license now. No more looking at it. They'll scan it at the door. They'll scan it at the bar.
No longer like grabbing somebody else's and it says you're 40 when you're 16.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. And now here's the scary part about that. Some police departments have access to that data.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So don't lie to the cops, folks. Just get it over with. You're not getting anything over on them anymore. Miss Bell, what's going on?
Hello.
Hello. You sound might chipper. I love it. Like you make this show sound sexy. That's all there is to it. And then there's
big
Tom
boy.
over here with the Italian influence. What's going on?
Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it.
He makes this show sound sexy.
You think so?
I did it.
Yeah. I was wondering the other day, by the way, you know how you take celebrities and you mash their names together, like Brangelina and all that? Like
Yeah.
Tom and Bell, or Tom and Glittery Bell, like how would we mash that up? Like if you guys became a celebrity couple, what would be the
Tell.
mashup? Tell?
No. They always sound like Penn and Teller. Nope.
But baby, when we're together, it's magical.
Oh, look at that.
Jesus.
Look at that.
Well, in honor of Mother's Day weekend, that was a very mom joke as opposed to a dad
That's
joke.
right. That's right. Happy Mother's Day to those mothers who are listening. And the single fathers. So all you mother fathers.
Especially the mother fathers.
Yeah, I had planned that joke, but after Bell's, I just like Bell's amazingly timed pun. I couldn't. Like it just pales in comparison.
Usually does.
That's right. And then, of course, speaking of mothers and fathers, we have a couple of guests remotely there. The one and only Z-Mom. What's going on there?
Hey, folks.
And then, of course, y'all know him. Y'all love him. The salty shark himself, Mr. Slaughter. What's going on, sir?
Hello.
Hi, Poppy.
Hi, Poppy. Weird factor just went up 0.08%.
Correct.
Correct. He says correct. Like it's a game show.
Can confirm.
He's over there with the clipboard. Check. Got it. .08. Last hour was .09. We're definitely maintaining. All right, so tonight a little bit different. We do have guests, but we've talked about gaming from the perspective of streamers doing a show as we do here on the channel. And by the way, Walter, thank you for that $20 super chat, sir. You are
You're
a
welcome.
super chat rock star. We've had a guest on that was, so we've had plenty of streamers. We've seen things talked from their point of view. We've had a female streamer on here and another one that's a resident on the show here. And then of course, we've had, we've talked about their families and how being a streamer affects their families. And we talked about gaming as a career. So tonight we're pushing the envelope like the show does, and we've got two parents of streamers or video gamers, and they are gamers themselves, by the way. So it is an unbiased opinion. But we thought we would talk about the whole gaming as a career and Twitch and all of that, and content creation and streaming as a career, right? So welcome both of you. We do appreciate you being here. I know it was kind of last minute notice.
No problem.
That's okay. Thanks for having me.
That's right. So everybody out there in chat, thank you for being here. We do see Zombie, Sherry, Conscript, Hunter Lobs, Chris Tolbert is there at the ranch. Who else is out there? I can't really scroll up on the chat. If we missed you, it's not on purpose. And of course, Zombie now is the son of Z-Mom. So this
But
should
not
be
just now. He's been her kid for a long time.
yeah, not just now. Like yeah,
You hope so.
yeah, which is where I assume that's where the
think she
Z-Mom
was
comes
there.
from, right?
That's correct.
Like your name isn't something
Z-Mom
weird like
can't
Zathura
confirm.
or something, right?
What was that?
Your name is not something weird like Zathura or something weird.
No.
Right,
that's
okay.
not.
The Z comes from Zombie being Zombie's mother, which I think is cool. That right there shows support.
Actually, it also happens to be the first initial of my last name.
Oh, really? Well, we won't talk about
Yes,
real
it
names here and all of that. And I definitely won't ask your age.
I'm 35.
Appreciate it.
Duh.
I thought the last name was Zoolander.
Zoolander. You know what? That movie is dumb except for one scene. The scene
How
when they show
incredibly
him
good looking he is.
who's good looking.
That's the tagline from Zoolander.
Oh, is it? See, I never paid
Oh,
attention. I
Val.
caught it. I caught it on FX as a rerun, and the only one funny part that I really thought was funny was when they showed him the school. And of course, the famous line that became a meme, like, how are we, how can we call this a school or something like that when they can't even get inside? Something like that. That was like the funny scene in that movie. Moving on.
I'm pretty sure that's also the line of, what is this? A couch for ants.
Couch for ants.
Line
that's
is
right.
from.
Oh, good times. All right, so now that we know what's going on, hey, what's going on there, Tanner? Welcome. All right, so the first, we'll start out with Belle here, as we always do. What do you got for news there, Miss Belle?
Let me just flip over on my laptop here to the correct tab. Alrighty. So as always, news brought to you this week by San Andreas Telephone. Life happens, San Andreas Telephone. And I am getting our news from pcgamer.com/news. Not sponsored, but you could be.
That's right, PC
There's
Gaming, if
going
you're
to
listening.
be a John Wick-based game coming out.
Oh my God, tell me more. I love those movies. This is so when? Is it planned? Is it released? Sorry, a little kid over here.
It's going to be called John Wick Hex. Oh, never mind. I won't be playing it.
Console only?
Epic exclusive.
Oh
Boom.
my God, are you serious?
It is going to be an Epic exclusive at launch. The date for which hasn't been announced. And the imaging is more circa LA Noire imaging. like
Okay.
the screen captures that they show. I was in my mind as kind of I was perusing through this earlier. I was expecting more of a real life
Right. But so it's got a
graphics, you know?
darker sepia influence theme than like LA Door
Yeah,
does.
that's what it looks like.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Just not the epic thing. That bugs me. Like the movies are so great. I don't know if you guys watch the John Wick movies, but they're just, I mean, as far as theatrics and fight choreography go, they're some of the best around.
I mean, I can't get past him being Neo, so I don't know. I have a very
I
hard
still
time.
can't get past him being freaking, what was it, Ted Theodore Logan?
Yep.
You know? Whoa.
Excellent.
But yeah.
I think he did a fantastic job in Constantine.
That he did, yep. Absolutely. He's a very underrated actor in person, I think.
And he sort of just fell off.
Well, he's got his motorcycle thing now that he's banking on. Everybody wants a damn Keanu Reeves motorcycle.
I don't think I do.
And this one, Salty Shark may get a kick out of. There is a Call of Duty spoof game called Goat of Duty.
Oh my God.
And it's Call of Duty with no lore and no storyline, but it has goats.
So just to run around and buck each other with...
I'll buy it tomorrow.
Is it Goat Simulator without the space and the trampolines, but with Call of
No,
Duty?
basically you have goats.
And the unruly farmer.
And you oh Lord, you play as a goat and you get guns and goats just shoot each other.
So kind of like a different take on that blood bacon, blood bacon.
I guess so.
That's a game where you're a farmer and you have a bunch of killer hogs. You have to shoot them and then round their body parts up into the meat grinder. It's pretty
Sounds
fun
delicious.
for about an hour. Yeah, it's pretty fun for about an hour.
Oh, just like Rust.
Boom.
Sorry.
Euro Truck Simulator 2 is going to have more roads added in their upcoming update.
That's probably good for a driving simulator to have more roads. Makes sense.
One
No,
would agree.
Solid choice
Where
by
we're
us.
going,
Yes, good job,
we don't
guys.
need roads.
I fucking knew that was coming.
I did too. That's why I was ad-libbing there until he said it. I was giving him
Giving him rightful dues.
But since we're only on TeamSpeak and not really in a studio together, I got us covered. High five myself, no friends.
That works.
Go, Bell.
Ba-dum-bum. Development company Wooting is coming out with a more sensitive pressure sensor for analog keyboards.
A pressure... okay, I didn't hear that quite right. Pressure sensor for keyboards?
Yep. So Wooting, I guess, Wooting, is kind of a champion at the construct of analog keyboards.
Okay.
And they had a very popular one that was on Kickstarter back in 2016 called the Wooting 1. Now it's coming out with the Wooting 2, and they're working on developing a new kind of key switch. It's going to be more sensitive than the traditional analog key switches.
So pressure sensitive, does this mean that, like, one of the common things that I was griping about to Tom today we were talking about was
so
like GTA driving.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. It doesn't actually say, but in my mind, that's what it would mean. So for people who are keyboard and mouse, and obviously superior, like myself,
Amen.
Nice try. Don't think so.
I do. And it's my news story. So I'm right.
That's right. And she has the microphone. You will listen to everything she has to say.
He'll mute me.
Yes, ma'am.
So in my mind, that would mean in games like where driving with the controller, you can kind of control with your
Yeah, you can
joystick
feather.
how quickly you accelerate, how you know, if you need to back off the speed, you just pull back on it and so on. Well, on keyboard and mouse, that's not such the case because, you know, you either hit the W or you hit the S, and there's really not a lot of in between. You're either going, stopping, or reversing.
Yep. It's very hard to feather with any kind of keyboard whatsoever. So it's always a burnout when you start.
So in my mind, that means that these new pressure-sensitive keys would allow for more of a controller-like driving experience, and that it's not full throttle all the time.
That would be very nice. That would be worth the money, to be honest with you. Like, I would pay, I'm assuming they're probably a couple $100 for these keyboards.
I didn't see its current. I think it's currently going to, or they're planning to launch on Kickstarter again.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
I'll see if I can find more information for you.
I believe they call it the computerized light interaction toggle.
Oh, Lord.
See that, folks? That was a joke grenade. You pull the pin, you throw it, you wait 5 seconds.
Yeah, apparently Twitch isn't only going to have dick jokes. It will have clit jokes as well.
Hey, we are gender fluid in our joking.
There was a group of hackers that have claimed to have infiltrated 3 large U.S. antivirus firms. So it doesn't actually go on to name these antivirus firms, but for example, McAfee, Norton, etc. And stealing over $300,000 in information.
Wow. I wonder what they did with the money that they sold it for. Like, you ever wonder what they do? Like, do these guys just buy nice houses and cars and shit with the money they stole?
Hookers and blow.
Yeah, or is that what it is? Like, is it smart investments? You know, under, like, maybe they do their dirty black hat crimes under another name or whatever, and then they have their real identity. You know, kind of like a reverse Batman, Bruce Wayne thing. You know?
For anyone who plays Monster Hunter World now, you can now be Iron Man or One Man Punch. A modder has developed and then added in those 2 characters.
Like, did you say Iron Man?
Yep.
As in the Marvel Iron Man?
Yep.
I may have to get
not
Monster
Ozzy Osbourne.
Or that other dude, the athlete.
Nope, nothing.
For the purposes of being a well-rounded news broadcast, Fortnite is going to host their first ever Summer Block Party. The event's going to take place June 15th and 16th at the Forum in Inglewood, in California.
I was going to say New Jersey.
So
no.
50,000 Fortnite players in one location. 50,000 plus. I think that's what the forum holds.
Celebrity appearances. For anyone who's interested, those appearances include Ninja, Dylan Francis, Kitty Plays, Cray, Jordan Fisher, and Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco.
I thought you said
will
celebrities.
No longer... Oh, okay. There's going to be a return of the Fortnite Celebrity Pro-Am, and this will feature both Ninja and Marshmello. I'm going to quit reading because I'm actually losing a lot of respect for artists I previously enjoyed. So if you want to know more, you can Google it.
Yeah. Okay.
What else we got, Bill?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is adding a new mission, and you track down your doppelganger. This to be released in the new Lost Tale of Greece.
That's interesting.
Another disappointing.
Another
disappointing news story. Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Ubisoft's new or upcoming new release, will only be available on Epic Games Store and Uplay. It will not be available on Steam. And now let me just stop for a moment to say this. If you want to list it on your your gaming platform store. So, for example, you play only. I'm fine with that. I get it. Got to keep the money, feed yourself.
Right.
But to then release it to only one of the two larger stores, no thank you.
Yep,
No
I agree.
thank you.
I agree. I agree. I'm still torqued that John Wick is an Epic exclusive. Like borderline heartbroke. I've been waiting for a good John Wick game. Oh well.
So for those of you who are Final Fantasy fanatics, Final Fantasy VII is getting a remake. This was originally announced at E3 back in 2015, so they have been working on it since that time. I'm not sure that an actual release date has been confirmed, but there are more and more screenshots popping up from the developers, so it leads me to believe it is soon to be released.
There you go.
And one last one to end everyone on. One of our tried and true folks that we all watch here, Onyx, was doing a game called Kingdom Come a couple months ago. Do we all remember that?
I do. I love watching that game. It's a very cool game. I haven't tried it myself, but it does hold my interest.
Well, the new DLC from Kingdom Come will finally allow players to play as a woman.
Hallelujah.
This will be
Walter,
available
they
on
got
May
you
28th.
covered, brother.
That concludes all of our available news for today's show. As always, tune back in, same time, same channel, every Friday.
Awesome. That's some good news there. Epic, why you got to do me like that? Why, Epic? I hope that'll change. Sure. All right, well.
I'm curious to see with the Epic versus Uplay, which platform it's actually going to be cheaper on.
It does fluctuate platform to platform these days, doesn't it?
That it does.
Some games do.
And
anyways.
I guess you could make the argument. So my arguments against Epic have always been like the review system, the return system, they're just not as seamless as Steam is. And maybe for people who started with Epic, they feel Steam isn't as good. So I started with Steam, right? My first gaming purchases for my computer were through Steam. So perhaps that's why I feel so loyal to Steam. And people who began in the Epic Store may have a difference of opinion. However, something like Ghost Recon Breakpoint or the Ghost Recon sort of line of games, you kind of already know whether or not you want it.
Yep.
Like, it's not some brand new... brand new, yes, but it's not some new concept from a gaming developer we've never heard of, and, it's a pretty big game. So, I do feel like it would probably be a safe purchase to make with the things that I don't like about Epic in mind, but I also just don't like Epic. So
That's where I'm at. I'm not going to support them. As much as that's, that's a defeatist attitude, but I guess, but I don't like where they've gone. I don't like the direction the company's gone. I don't believe that they put gamers first and the product first. I believe that they're like anything these days. It's a lot of marketing mumbo jumbo and any trick they can use to make money.
Well, and giving, $1 million deals for Epic exclusives for X amount of time.
Yep.
Where's that money coming from? That also leads me to believe that because the money comes from us, meaning the consumer.
Right.
We spend our money, either your kids are spending it on Fortnite or you're spending it on Fortnite, and they have all this money in the bank that they can offer these game developers just huge amounts of money to, and the $1 million was just an arbitrary number I selected. So just this millions of dollars that they can offer these gaming developers to say, hey, give us your shit for a year, we'll give you this amount of money. That money comes from somewhere, though.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, ironically to me, it sounds like an endorsement deal that a musician would get. It's the same. It's the same type of contract, I'm sure. You know, it's an
Yeah, you can
exclusive.
only sell it here.
Yep, you can only. Yeah, we're gonna. You know, I've been offered those deals by smaller companies when I did during my musician days. But the general contract, they don't go, well, just play ours when, we're gonna give you free guitars, we're gonna put you in our ads, or whatever. Drum set, bass, doesn't matter. We're gonna give you these instruments, and we might even make a custom one for you. But you can play it just whenever you want. Like, that's not the way it works. If especially bigger companies, they're going to go, it's an exclusive deal. You cannot be photographed or seen performing with any other guitar brand unless we pre-approve it. So it's still that same kind of exclusive contract. And yeah, the money comes from somewhere, and I would say it's either comes from the publisher or from the development company. Where else would it come from? Right?
Exactly. My entire point. They're making hand over fist somewhere at a cost to the consumer.
Yep. And sometimes to the quality of the final product. Limited for budget constraints because they have to budget that $1 million for that exclusive contract.
Right.
That's $1 million in development that could have gone into more content for a game. Making for example, making a Call of Duty campaign more than 9 frickin' missions long.
Yeah, but now we have Goats of Duty, so I'm good.
That's right.
You're gonna trigger Walter. You keep talking about Call of Duty.
Well, I'm not a big fan of that series, just the campaigns. I don't play them. I play the campaign once or twice through. If I like it 3 times, but that's I've always been a guy where I just can't go around blowing people away for an hour or 2 hours or 10 hours and find enjoyment in it for that long. There's got to be something to work the brain more than just kill. And I know that they're very violent games. It's all about killing the enemy and saving the day, but I don't know. I'm sure you understand what I mean, Tom. Like, there's got to be an end goal aside from a kill count.
Well, you want to weigh in there, Walter?
Yeah, there's your way in, buddy.
I just play for the zombies.
You play it for the zombie, and there's nothing wrong with that. My oldest boy used to love doing that before he got into League of Legends. I was going to say Overwatch, but League of Legends. Same thing, right? Somebody's going to kill me for saying that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, and even there, it's with zombies, there's a level to achieve, right? And every level gets harder, and the longer you stay in, the more difficult it becomes to survive. Am I correct, Walter?
Correct.
Okay, so there is some skill to that, as opposed, and I'm not saying it's not unskilled to go in those multiplayer matches where you're doing team battles and all of that. I'm sure there's skill to that. I know there is. It's just boring to me.
I think multiplayer sucks on Call of Duty and stuff.
Except for World of War. That they hit the mark with that one because the multiplayer I can co-op the campaign with somebody. And it was a long campaign.
Correct.
The stuff we get onto these tangents. We still need like a derailing train gift for the stream.
Choo choo.
Choo choo. All right, so let's move on. Let's get Z-Mom in on the conversation here. So I'm going to start when we come to our main topic here. I'm going to start with Z-Mom. So Z-Mom, we've already established that you are the parent. You're a video game playing parent of someone who does content creation, moreover as a streamer on YouTube and Twitch. Is Z-Mom still with us? Okay.
She probably forgot about push to talk. Z-Mom?
Z-Mom? All right. Well,
Paging Z-Mom?
yeah, we'll have to get the tech team on that. So we'll move over to Walter. So Walter, you don't have anybody that you're a parent of that does any kind of content creation, correct?
Semi. My son did a little bit of YouTube.
Okay, but nothing where it's like become an important everyday thing, right?
No,
like
he's trying to move over to Twitch.
okay, all right. So but you experience a little bit of that. So and then you play games. We know you play games a lot. You play with us. You're a very avid gamer as an adult.
Correct.
Right, and we're not going to talk about ages here, really, but let's just make it clear: you are an actual adult. You've been, a working married man for many years. So just to give the people at home that you're not a young adult, you're in your 20s, like you've been around for a while.
Correct.
So what some gamers may consider their parents in that age to be, old dribs, for a horrible example, like they don't understand. So you understand the love of gaming, all of that. So first question is, what is your take on the whole gaming culture and the way it's become something of an everyday premise for many people? Like it used to be a couple times a week as a kid, I would turn on my ColecoVision or my Nintendo, right? I mean, it was still important to me to go outside and play, to go play Army Men, to go play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, like go ride bikes, get out of the house, all that good stuff, right? So, but nowadays it's not like that anymore. Kids want to stay inside. They have more interactions over TeamSpeak or game audio or game voice chat, VoIP, than they do. They go out and ride bikes and go play in the woods and all that crap, right? Is that your experience?
Correct. I think nowadays, I think the kids are more safer at home than they are out.
Oh,
I'd have to agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I finally got my
There
mic
she
working.
is. There she is. So, yeah, I agree with that. Like, I could definitely tell you when we first moved to Atlanta from Iowa, Iowa was a place, the town we lived in Iowa, like it was back 20, 30 years in the past in a lot of ways. And one of them was that it was still one of the few places that I've lived where you could leave your doors open at night. Your kids could play outside all day without, helicopter parenting and be just fine. Like it was one of those old school small towns. But when we moved to Georgia, we lived in a very busy, very compact neighborhood area where there was a lot of shops. And we lived in an apartment complex where there was 3,000 to 4,000 people living in this complex. And it was there's a lot of different ethnic backgrounds. And unfortunately, it was an area of town where it wasn't real safe. There was a lot of drug deals and gang activity. So I was happy to buy my kids whatever games they wanted to keep their asses in the house where I could see they weren't going to get shot, or be around people doing drugs or selling drugs or all of that. So I agree with that.
Correct.
Yeah. So even now in your area where you live, is it like that, or is it still fairly like you feel safe being outside generally and all of that?
Well,
no. Yeah, where I am, he's safe where I live now.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're in a small town, and we got population of about 10,000.
Okay, so you're living one of those old school towns that are still kind of stuck in the 80s and 90s a little bit.
Well, it would snow 10 months a year.
Right.
Right.
Little House on the Prairie?
Literally snowed 2 days ago.
Good Lord. So nobody wants to be outside because it snows 8 months out of the 12.
Yeah.
That's why it's safe.
Town, but there's still issues with drugs around here. I mean,
right.
That unfortunately
because there's nothing else to do.
I know.
But see, when I grew up, I grew up in Grand Haven, Michigan, and when I grew up, it was still a rural area. There wasn't a lot to do except we lived, my entire neighborhood was off a Tulane County blacktop that was all gravel. Every road was gravel. And they didn't pave it until years after I moved away. But the only thing to do, which I guess these days to kids is nothing, was to go out and use your imagination and play cowboys and Indians and ride your bikes and all that kind of stuff. Listen to music and whatever else you did. But that's the point is it's hot. I don't want to go outside. Or, for whatever reason, it's just easier to stay inside. In the AC, sitting in front of a computer in their bedroom or in the living room, playing games and yelling at their friends over the VoIP. So
that sounds like our typical Thursday.
Right. Yeah,
right.
That's a typical day in our team speak.
Well, see, and that's funny because that's how long video games have been around. That's where a lot of adults are. None of us sitting around this table, folks, are of clubbing age necessarily. And
Excuse me?
What you trying to say?
You know what?
Oh,
You just
shit.
stop
Here we
it,
go.
old folks.
I
Just
love
stop it.
this.
I
Okay?
am not that.
This old
far.
man will go.
I could definitely go out and go clubbing if I
I could
could.
still go rock the club too, but it's just my point is that we're not in our young 20s and all of that where that's something that we would do normally. Like I'm not a
in
club
my late
person.
40s and still like I'm in my 30s.
Okay, well, me
Fuck
too.
that. He acts like he's in his 80s.
Right, it's right.
Shut it, bitch.
See, exactly.
Well,
Fuck
he
that
drinks
noise.
And he proved the
he
point.
drinks the beer of a college kid, so
That's yeah. Well, he's trying to hang on to his youth, right?
That's right.
Uncultured
right.
swine.
Uncultured swine. Okay, but you see where the question is leading us, right? Is now where is there a point as parents nowadays, like where we cut shit off all the time for do your homework, or a lot of these ISPs now are offering the ability to shut off the internet for dinner time and things like that. Right. And I know it's never as smooth as it is on TV. If I were to shut off the internet right now without warning, just so I wanted people to come eat, I would have a mob of angry fucking gamers that are pissed at me or whatever. Like everybody would be angry. So it doesn't work like it does on TV, obviously. But that's where the question leads us. So as parents nowadays, when everything is online and kids need their computers, and we don't have the time to sit there and hawk over them and make sure they're on their news site for their report for school or wherever they need to be instead of playing Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatever game they're playing. So where is it? How do you deal with that, say, for you, Z-Mom, when yours has something they have to do and they want to play Rust or they want to do this or they need to do a stream? Like, what's your attitude? How do you deal with that and still keep the peace for the next time?
Well, I think Zombie would probably agree that when it comes time for him to do the stuff that he needs to do around the house, there's a lot of nagging involved.
But how much of that is the gaming, and how much of that is that he is an older, semi-adult teenage boy, or well, adult teenage boy?
Yeah, he is an adult now. Well, for those of you that don't know, I'm extremely new to gaming. I just started gaming just actually a few months ago.
Z-Mom's got GTA 5 now. Woo-hoo.
I do. But it got to the point where I kind of set limits for him as he was getting older. It started out where he could be on his computer playing games. I was okay with that. And then he told me he wanted to start posting videos to YouTube. And I was pretty hesitant with that when he was about 16. I wanted to safeguard, make sure that nobody could trace him back to his real identity, where he lived, and all that. So I was pretty hesitant to let him start. Once I learned a little more about it, I said, okay, but no live streaming. And then once he turned 18, then I kind of became a little more comfortable with it.
Okay.
And then at that point, I never saw him again.
Right.
He kind of went into his man cave. I call him my troll. He goes into the troll dungeon.
Goes into his troll.
And
Troll in the dungeon.
exactly. And really, what brought me into gaming was if you can't beat them, join them.
Okay.
I figured this is probably going to be the only way that I'm going to get to interact with him a lot of the time. And especially now that he's going to be going off to college at the end of the summer, he's going to be in a completely different town, an hour and a half away. I don't drive, so I'm really never going to see him. So I figured this is going to be a good way for us to keep in touch and interact. And I'm meeting a lot of great people in the process.
See, I like that. It's a great way to spend time over long distances. Absolutely, it is. Like, I have so much fun playing with Tom and Bell, playing with the Cubs guys, playing with that whole community, just playing with the people that I know and enjoy playing with. And that's the beauty of it, is we can all have that feeling of we're in the same room, we're hanging out, but be, hundreds or thousands of miles away. And that brings up that, that reinforces the point I was just talking about, is and kind of supports your point about safeguarding, is it because of the openness of it, because you can get on a game and meet any people at any time. Like, it's so open.
Yeah, you never know who's on the
you
other
never exactly you never know.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Like, I worry nowadays, and I don't want to meet no creeps online. I play multiplayer games, but it again,
I was the last creep he met. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. You were the creep of all creeps, right, Tom? When I met you guys, that was it. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, no, you got Walter. You got Walter this year.
yeah,
Well,
but it was
horror stories.
introduced through you. So that's, I think that's the first time I met Walter. You, right?
Correct.
I think so.
Yes, correct.
So
Well, you
Walter,
hear
what
so
about
many
you? And that's a
horror
good thing
stories
with your younger ones. What's the you're all about that safeguarding, right?
Yes, to a point. I mean, I don't mind him playing the games. It's the younger ones I don't believe in. I think the younger kids, they need to be, learn from their parents, try to be outside. Because I have grandkids. And as soon as the grandkids come over, now my grandchild, the oldest one is 4, she'll walk in the door, she'll say hello, but she's like, give me my tablet. 4 years old telling me, give me my tablet.
Right, but that's a precedent that's been set.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess
Because they play with tablets all day in school.
But Grandpa,
Yeah. But Grandpa, what?
If you don't, what you allow is what will continue. So
exactly.
if you never give them that option of getting it as soon as they walk in, and you teach them, nope, you get 20, whatever, however it is. So for me, for example, my TV time, screen time, if you will, at the time, because like when I was growing up, we had computers, but they took up an entire section of your living room. So, or your whatever room they were in.
Mhm.
So, in late middle school, early high school, I had a computer, and I was kind of, there was no real limitations on that part. But as a child, like 11 years old, 10 years old, I was allowed like 30 minutes of TV. And it would go up a little bit the older I got. But the rest of my time that I wanted to be entertained or whatever with, it was outside.
Yep. You didn't have Barbie dolls and the Corvette and the Dream House and all that to play with?
Yeah.
Do I strike you as a Barbie dream house kind of girl?
Yeah, but growing up, like I grew up in Brooklyn. So growing up, I wasn't really allowed outside because of the area that I lived in. I mean, it was either drugs, somebody dead. So as soon as you walked outside your door, there was somebody dead that you had to walk over to get to the bus to go to school. Yeah, I lived right around the corner from a...
That's a nightmare. You walked over dead bodies to get to school?
Yeah, it was
Damn.
right around the corner. Right around the corner was a methadone clinic where they would get their drugs. And, they're not supposed to be doing it in the area, but they would anyway. They didn't care. So half of them overdosed, and that's what I seen as a child growing up.
Right.
So I always stayed in my house, pretty much. So it was like a jail for me.
All right. So you played video games, though, I assume, to help the time, right?
Whatever I did, I didn't have video games when I was a child. It was, more back in, I think my very first computer was, I think in the 80s. I think it was from Radio Shack. I think my mom bought me one. So, but I had like Atari and stuff like that, but on a black and white TV or something like that. But
I remember those days.
Yeah, the Pong or whatever. But
Yep.
and I really didn't have friends until I joined Cuffs, pretty much, and I met Tom and Bell. But I lived a sheltered life my whole life, pretty much.
But I mean, I'm sure there were still things, and you had several siblings too, right? Like you had people you grew up in the home with.
My sister, yes, she's the oldest, and then the situation with my brother, so we won't go there. But no, he wasn't around much.
Okay.
I mean, there are still things that you probably did inside the home, or even, in the
Walter
hallway.
played with his army men.
Yep,
The little
pretty
green
much
guys.
green.
Right, but
green,
that encourages imagination.
Yep.
yeah.
Or at least introduces you to some science when you start melting them with the magnifying glass in the sun. And
Or it leads to suicide for a lot of people.
well, yeah, if you're
Because
if you're sheltered all the time, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and when I was growing up, I was an only child, so I didn't have a built-in playmate. And my mom never bought me any kind of video games. We got our first computer, I was about 8th grade, and for us, video games was Oregon Trail and Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And
you have died
Dude,
of
Oregon
dysentery.
Trail is the shit.
and my personal favorite, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That was a game?
Yeah.
I've been living under a fucking rock, folks. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Well, Z-Mom, what did you do for Zoms growing up? Like, does he have like a rubber ducky? Like, what is he? Like, did he have things like that growing up?
Actually, because of certain things, it was actually recommended that I get him a computer and introduce him to technology at a very early age. He had some communication barriers, and that was something that was recommended by the speech therapist and the pediatrician, is
Right.
that I work with him that way to help build his communication skills.
I, for
Which,
one,
look at him
can
now, I
confirm
mean-
that it worked perfectly.
3 years old, that kid knew how to go through the proper shutdown procedure for a computer at 3.
And could
rather
work
than
the
just pushing
cable
the
remote, the
off button.
cable TV remote, and all the little secret functions better than you.
Oh, you bet he
Yep.
did.
Yep, little bastards. My kids can do that too. I'm like,
Well,
how'd you
and
do that? And they're
now,
like, it's easy, Dad. You just print it. They lose me 3
Well,
steps
at the
in.
beginning of the stream, I had to have him come out here and show me how to switch to push to talk.
But now, there I feel like there's a push, and I think, well, no, Walter can probably attest to it too, because I think Walter has or Buddha's kids may be younger too. Anyway, my point is there's a push now in a lot of like school aged, and by school aged I mean like the 5 to 7-year-old population. Like they're encouraging a lot more technology exposure at a young age, but not YouTube videos and Calliu and that kind of stuff. More like teaching really little kids the basics of coding.
Yep. I know this sounds dumb, but I'm sure there are 5-year-olds that can work an iPad better than me.
Correct.
That's because
Well,
Apple sucks.
Well, that's
what
right.
Apple
That's
is
because
built
I
for.
don't
Apple
use
is
that
built for
that fruit crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so odd how technology has it's taken over our lives. Like I any day now, I expect to hear and go viral. Skynet has become self-aware. Like I expect that shit to happen because we rely on it so much for everything. I watched a Google exposition live on YouTube yesterday, a little bit of it, where they were talking about the future of smart, intelligent homes. I don't want a house to be able to turn on a light switch or turn on my face camera or,
But it does that already.
You want to talk about intelligent homes? Out of all of us, Walter probably has the most connected house out of all of us.
Okay, but Walter, the point that you're already being spied on. So what's the harm in a little bit more? Like that's kind of the argument there.
Yeah.
I don't need my house to turn on shit for me. I don't need to be reminded. Like the most I have is I have a timer on my stove for when I'm cooking to tell me when that shit's ready. I have a timer on my coffee pot so I can wake up to a fresh pot of coffee instead of stumbling around the kitchen and break the damn thing 3 times trying to get it filled.
But then again, it's also a good thing because my son 3 times already left my stove on almost all day long.
And your house can turn that shit off.
No, but it alerts you.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's things like that. So yeah, I'm all for it. I don't care. You want to inspire me? Go ahead. What are you going to find out?
No, I'm not putting anybody down. I just my point is that I think it's to the point now where it has officially overcome us as human beings.
Correct.
That we are at a breaking point now in this generation with the latest generation of human beings. We are at a turning point now where it won't be easy to go back. Right now, a lot of us still remember what it was like without this. So there's still a lot of minds in the world that could teach younger hands if we were to have a solar flare and all technology was defunct tomorrow. There are enough people on this planet to teach people, quote unquote, the old ways and be able to move on and survive. But in another 50 years, in another 50 years, it's going to be like knowing about World War II. And they're going to, in another 75 years, they're going to teach about how hard we had it in the 80s. Right,
correct.
So and they already are to an extent. So it's just crazy how it's overtaken our lives. And now, and that's part of the whole thing here is parents now have to deal with that on top of all the other things that a parent has to deal with. And there are kids like me who, like, it's important, like, this is how I make my money and why I do this, how I came to it, why I struggle with. None of that matters with this conversation. The point is this is how I make my money. So it's very important to me. And if I don't get to do it because of something else, it becomes a problem. And you translate that to a 16-year-old or 12-year-old. Now it's a tantrum because they don't understand. They don't understand that you actually understand. I guess I'm saying that right. They think you don't understand how important it is to do that, when it's really not, because their homework is more important, or their bedtime and their sleep at 12 years old is more important than life, or finishing that video.
Right.
So when it comes to that, like, how do you deal with that, Walter, when they throw a fit because we're back to the tablet? Like from your perspective. And let's get into how it makes you feel as a father or the adult in the situation. When you feel disrespected because they're throwing that tantrum because they just, they understand a little bit, but they're going to continue on that. They're going to try to make you feel like crap and guilt you for not letting them do it.
In Walter's defense, if you ever heard his granddaughter, I could never say no to her for no matter what. She's the most adorable thing in the world.
Yeah.
True story.
Right. Well, that just makes it doubly hard for him, right?
I'll tell you, yes. I am a better grandparent than I am a parent. I failed as a parent.
Okay, you did not fail as a parent.
You didn't because you got your granddaughter.
Right. I got my grandkids. Yeah. I'm a great grandparent, but I think my 2 kids, I failed as a parent.
So what you're saying is you didn't fail as a parent. You failed your kids as their parent. Is how you feel.
Yeah, either way. Because
no, I don't think it's either way.
Wait. But because the way I feel is my stepdaughter, which is nothing really to me, but I consider her my stepdaughter because I raised her since she was 4 years old. She treats me better than my 2 own kids do. And I give my 2 kids whatever they want.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to consider that your stepdaughter is a lot older and more mature. Your stepdaughter has children of her own.
Right, but she never, ever batted her eyes, ever backtalked me, never, asked for anything in the world. But, and I didn't, being a new parent to a girl, it's hard. What do you do with a girl, So I would occasionally buy her a baby doll.
You become an expert on dresses and Barbies.
Now I am, but back then I didn't. But
okay.
Like I said,
yes, he's my go-to.
So how do you deal with that with your granddaughter? Let's add that into the mix. So take us through what goes through your head and like how do you deal with that? I said, let's just throw all chips in, like it's a full on. I hate you for not doing this tantrum.
My grandkids have not reached that yet.
Okay, but they give you shit when they disagree with your choice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just for the chat, because I know there are some people who fit into that younger YouTuber streamer, even if they're not now, they want to be. Right. Like the whole idea here was I wanted to put the final piece to that whole circle in place. So we've heard from the gamers, we've heard from the streamers themselves, we've heard how they see it as, you know, and how they've dealt with how their family has seen it, etc. And we've talked to girls who game, females, etc. So now, you know, just to fill the picture in, coming from a parent of a gamer, when it comes to those things, like you don't know how important this is, like, or they want to play it, they've gotten all their chores done and they're still not going to get to play the game. Like there's a lot that parents have to deal with when these kids start trying to figure how can I throw a fit and finagle, right?
As a parent, don't back down, don't give in. And I noticed that, yeah, like with my son Ryan and stuff, you know, we'll go like nose to nose, and you know, I want to play this, I want to do this. So you know what? I don't want to be the parent that would like smack a child, because that's the way I was brought up. I used to get my ass whooped, you know, if I looked at my father or mother the wrong way, you know?
Yep.
So I didn't want to be like that.
That used to happen a lot, folks.
So to me, it's just like, you know what? Just go ahead and do what you want. You want to play, go ahead and play.
Right. And that's hard on you as a parent, because when it gets to that point that I have better things to do than to continue down this line of argument with you, so you're going to get your way.
Yeah, he did get that way.
Like what I want people to take away from that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's especially hard as a single parent, because you don't have somebody else to back you up.
And see, that's another thing though. See, like my wife, she's the stern one. So I'm just like, all right, I don't want to argue with you. Go ahead and do it. So now me and my wife are butting heads.
Yep. And see, that's the points that I want to some of the younger viewers. Maybe you run a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have or have not had these discussions with your parents in those times of contention. But in the fairness of everything, I want people to realize, the younger YouTubers and streamers, to realize that there is an intrinsic value with being able to see the other side of a coin and see it from there. So those are the things that a lot of good parents, when they fight, when they argue, they don't do it in front of their kids. It's not an open thing. Sometimes you can't help it, but for the most part,
sometimes you don't,
parents respect their kids and keep their stuff private and don't want to stress the kids out. But so there's a good example. Two parents are butting heads now over something that didn't need to be a problem if the kid would just said, you know what, I may not understand why you said no, but you're my dad, and I'm going to respect that decision, and just left it at that and went and did something else. Right?
Yeah, but no kid does that.
Well, and that's the point. And that's the point. That's the whole point in this conversation is I want people to realize that there's a whole nother side to this. That's why we had parents on tonight, is to maybe bring light to some things that people just don't think about. You know,
these kids have to realize we're not going to be here forever.
Nope, they're not. And you're going to get to a point. My mom has passed away, and I don't talk to my dad anymore because he's off doing his retired Playboy bit.
Yeah.
But there are times when I miss the fuck out of the time that I had, and I want.
Oh yeah, of course.
Absolutely, you know? I've lost both my parents, and I really wish I could spend just one more day with them.
I lost my mom.
They need to be a child while they can. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
I'm sure everybody who knows or knows you, or everybody in this room, everybody in the chat watching, or who will watch this, everybody gets that. Like even little kids know. Little children know, they get it. They understand a parent's love, a mom's love, a dad's love, etc. But as they get older and they start having aspirations of their own, Like just to bring the conversation back around full circle. You know, gaming, we talked about gaming and how open it is, and it can connect people over long distances, and you can get the same quality human experience of being with somebody and hanging out, playing a game and talking in a team speak as you can being in the same room. Like that is intrinsically good in gaming, right? In multiplayer gaming. And Z-Mom playing, I'm sure you play with your kids, Walter. You know, or you at least share that commonality.
I try, yes.
You know, like your son Ryan now understands, like, dad plays games, so he understands where I'm coming from, and that makes things a lot easier. But with Z-Mom's, what she said in particular was that, you know, her son's about to go off to college, and he's still going to game, and he's still going to stream when he has time, and this is a great way for her to spend time on his schedule and still get that time in, and they both get to benefit from that.
Right. It's easier for a person to become friends with somebody that's on a computer than to be in live person.
There's another good point.
Very much
yep,
so.
For socially, like social awkwardness.
So, socially, I cannot stand to be around people or a crowd of people.
Except me.
Neither can I.
Yeah, except for you guys. But it's very hard for me. I'd rather, you know, talk to you all day, all night on the computer or Discord or whatever, but to meet you face to face is very hard.
Yep.
I'm the same way.
Yep. I don't like strange people, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a stranger danger thing. I'm perfectly capable of fending off most threats, no problem. But it's a social thing. It's a privacy thing. It's now I'm face to face with somebody, and they can see me. They can see the look on my face. And there are plenty of people in this world who are very good at manipulating through emotions.
Right.
I'm much better with words on paper than I am vocally. You know, I'm that type of person. I'm an introvert for the most part. So me doing what I've done with a face cam alone, for me, it's like a victory, because
right.
You know, I said musician, and people are probably going, but you play it on stage. Well, it's a lot different, because there is that wall there, and it's the instrument that you play or the microphone stand.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard to understand, but that's the way it is. But with gaming, it's a lot easier to make friends, and that's why pedophiles, like, go talk about what C-Mom said about being guarding.
Right.
Your parents don't want you online not because they're being a jerk, not because they don't understand how important it is, not because they don't see some sort of value in maybe you starting young, and in 10 years you could have a YouTube channel making millions of dollars and buying mom and dad Ferraris and houses. Like, parents think about all of that, but it's a lot easier to say no than it is to follow them online with every person they talk to, every little interaction. It takes mere minutes for someone who wishes to do something wrong or illegal or bad with somebody. It takes minutes for them to get inside that kid's head and heart.
Correct.
Especially on a game they love. A game like Fortnite. Hey, I'm going to give you these skins. It's the same in the 70s as the dude with the van painted pretty colors, giving out free freaking candy, and pet my dog.
Yep.
Now it's just a lot easier because they can bounce game to game, room to room.
But when these kids are going in and playing games with other people, it's I lost my train of thought.
Well, I think you just don't know who's on the other side, right?
Yep.
Like, how many times do you get somewhere and, you know, we're all adults playing, but there's access for a 12-year-old to come join us. Like,
Yep, with a voice changer. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So then you have the opposite of that. Then you have people who now, because of a guarding parent, sees a video that they did on YouTube because they were on the 5M server, and don't understand that, okay, they let their kid play Grand Theft Auto 5, but they're not old enough to play it. And now there's a drama issue. Not likely to happen, but it has happened in the past. Other people get in trouble simply for a child being somewhere they should have never frickin' been in the first place. And just for being adults. Right? So it goes both ways, I guess, on that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that as far as like, you know, the GTA, you know, or well, you got to be a certain age. But guess what? All the kid has to do is turn on TV, and guess what? You're seeing the same shit on TV.
Yep. Yep,
so
exactly.
What's the difference if he's going to watch TV or play the video game?
And I completely understand that. My point is that
Yeah,
when you
but
flip that situation.
There's things
yes,
that you see on TV.
Right. I agree with a young child playing with adults. I agree with that. I don't think 11-year-old should be playing with a 40-year-old man on a video game. I agree with that. But to be home with your kid, letting him play that game while you're watching him, I have no issue.
Oh no, I have no problem. That's completely up to the parent. Right. That's still a freedom we have in this country, at least.
Right.
You know, and there are plenty of kids out there who's reality testing because of TV shows and because of the way that everything's in your face because of the internet, and it's hard to not see violence and all of that. Like they're desensitized, and their reality testing is high enough that they know, they know it's fake, and they can't do that shit in real life.
Right. I mean, even my son, he's still 16 years old, but I still watch what he's on and what he's doing online.
Agreed.
So, I mean, it's up to the parent. If you're going to let your child be online and play video games with other people, then you should know where they're at.
That's the point. That's where the responsibility falls.
Don't push them off to the corner and say, okay, go ahead, do what you want.
Right, which is why Z-Mom is guarding. She's not only guarding her son or her child from potential predators or things that a young child should not have to ever see. But at the same time, she's guarding herself, too.
Right. But like Tom said, you're never going to know who's on the other side, but you're still trying at least.
Yep.
Yeah, but how many times do you have that child, like legitimate child, that's sneaking off into the corner and is whispering into the microphone because he wants to play with his 40-year-old friends? Like it's I don't know. Like I had no desire to look at adults like that at 12 years old.
Yeah.
I was afraid of any adult and possibly pissing off any adult when I was that age. Like there was not like my parents hated video games. Every adult I knew frickin' hated video games. And if they were an adult that liked it, my dad made sure that I was never to talk to that adult again.
Right.
You know.
But what is the average child tell you now? Touch me and I call the cops.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to call social services on you.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I told my dad that once. I remember it was 1987 because I don't remember any fucking year after that.
Because you got an
I said, I'm gonna call social services on you, and he said, call them. You'll be dead before they get here. If I'm going to jail, I'm going to jail for a good reason.
Damn right.
Oh hell no! Both of my parents would actually start dialing for me and hand me the phone.
Yep. I do.
Oh yeah, I got brought to an adoption shelter to see how shitty they were. Like
scared straight. I love
my
it.
parent, and they're like, "You want to complain about it again? This is where you're going to end up.
I
hope you enjoy it."
Damn, now I'm realizing how good I had it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wish, being a parent and stuff, I wish I did take my two kids to a jail just so they can actually see it. I think every parent should take their kids there to teach them a lesson, be on the straight and narrow, because otherwise you're going to wind up in this shithole.
They don't have a lot of places don't have scared straight programs anymore. They've all been abolished.
Yep. Yeah, pretty
because
much.
Everybody needs a medal, and everybody needs to feel special, and we don't put kids in front of people who could tell them the truth about the bad side of life.
Which they should, yeah.
Absolutely they should, because you're having a whole generation of kids that learn everything from video games and everything from their friends online. And there's another issue that parents face is even the friends that they're their age. That could be the dude down the block that they ride the bus with.
Right.
Are sharing things with them. You could be a great parent. All the other kids could be a great parent. It just takes that one parent, that one kid who has a parent who doesn't give a rat's ass, and he's already smoking at 12, and he's already dabbling in marijuana and stealing from dad's alcohol cabinet for whatever reason, because dad's not there, whatever their situation may be, that are telling their friends about this.
Right.
your
child
that's
about.
Becoming more and more common.
Absolutely, it is.
Yep.
Absolutely, it is. So that's another point about parents and gamers that I think people need to gamers need to realize. Young gamers is that once again it supports the point. Just because your parents say no, you're not doing this. No, I don't want you online right now or whatever. I guarantee you 99.9% of the time, it is not out of spite. It is not to ruin your day. It is not to be mean to you. It is a protection of some sort with good reasoning behind it.
Well, and I don't know if Zombie remembers, but that's something that I would tell him quite a bit is you may not understand my reasons for telling you no, but it is for your own safety.
Yep. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay. So now moving back to the fact that he's 18. Right. What are your, he's still living under your house. He hasn't gone to college yet. He still has some responsibilities every day that he has to deal with. Mm-hmm. Right. He's getting ready to graduate. That's a very busy time for a senior. Oh, yeah. And they have a lot to do in school to finish up and things like that. So now let's talk about, we're past all of the guarding and all of that. And the, the preachy up our own ass because most of us are parents and all that jazz.
It's hard to turn that off.
It is. But let's try for a moment. We'll just focus on the fact that he's essentially an adult, but he still lives under your roof and your rules, and there are things that he needs to do to continue along the line that he's on, the line of success, and not screw up the fact that he doesn't. He misses. Let's just say he misses a good chance, an opportunity for a chance at a really good start, moving on to the next phase of his life, an important phase, mind you.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you deal with that when he's got something to do? He has a report he has to do, or he's got planning for senior or for college, he's got forms to fill out or whatever, but he wants to get a stream in. So how does that work? I mean, do you do a Walter thing and say, fine, it's your choice, you want to screw up your life, I've said my piece and move on with it? Or are you going to make damn sure that the rest of it comes before the stream?
That's something that I've actually been struggling with for the last 6 months, I'd say. I'm kind of hanging in the background, making sure that he is getting the important stuff done. And yeah, there's a lot of nagging that goes with it. But in the same token is I got to let him, if he's going to fall on his face, he needs to do it.
Right.
Correct.
As painful as it would be to see something that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
But they had to learn that lesson. That would be a really hard lesson to miss that good start going into college because of that. That would be heartbreaking to me for my kids.
It's almost even harder as a parent to sit back and watch it happen.
Yep.
Right.
So is there a point when you just put your foot down and, it's damn it, young man, this is what's going to happen, and I'll rip that computer out of your room faster than you could say, what the hell just happened, or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much happened yesterday.
Unfortunately, he bought the computer out of his own money.
Right. Well, I understand that, but
that's okay. It's still in your house.
Yeah. It still runs off the electricity that's in your name. Yeah. See, it's hard to let go of that parenting thing, isn't it?
Keep that in mind, Zombie.
Right.
Just gotta remember, you only got one mom or one dad or one mom and dad, so
yep,
we're not here forever. So
and that's what it comes down to, as preachy as that sounds.
Yep.
So, Belle and Tom, you've been relatively quiet, and I assume that part of it is that you guys aren't actual parents, but you guys are very intelligent people.
Yeah, our pups are not trying to get onto a console anytime soon.
Right, or PC. Hey, I tell you what, if they do, let me know.
The one tries to get on the computer all the time. She walks right across it.
Look, if they start gaming and do their own YouTube or Twitch streams, you let me know. I will cease to be the host of this show, and I will become your road manager. We're going to hit the talk show circuit, be friggin' rich.
I mean, they do have their own Instagram, so we're waiting for it for them to become Insta famous.
Yeah.
They're our retirement plan.
Hey, Young Savage and Mad Max, thank you guys for showing up, and I'll see you later there, Young Savage. I'm not ignoring you guys when we get into these conversations. I mean, this is a typically different live stream, so welcome. I'm seeing what you guys are chatting. Mad Doe there and Mad Max. Hello, guys. I'm seeing what you guys are chatting on, but I've had a problem with 5M lately where if I alt tab off, it freezes up the whole computer and forcing a reboot. So I can't tab off and chat like I normally do. But I see you guys. So, all right. So back to it. So you guys have to have some sort of opinion on
Walter
this.
is overly hard on himself as a parent, I think. Because when I think of people whose kids, who I would look at their kids and say someone failed you along the way, it's not Walter's kids. Do I think his son is an absolute shit sometimes? Yeah, for sure. Gets on my last nerve, and I don't live with him. Walter frequently offers to allow us to have him, though, and I always politely decline.
Right.
But he's definitely done some things right in his kids, because his daughter, who is Zombie's age, is a very hardworking young lady. The minute she was allowed, she went out and got a job, and she's been on the grind ever since, and I think that that's admirable.
See, that's important in a kid's life. A good work ethic will serve them anywhere, whether they're flipping burgers at McDonald's or they're running a YouTube channel with 50,000 subscribers. Work ethic is so important, and it's so missed these days by a lot of parents. It's not instilled like it used to be.
I think that it's remarkable that she doesn't, at least in my opinion, and Walter will correct me, she doesn't expect the world to be given to her. She understands if she wants to do cool shit, she needs to have money to do it, and she needs to get a job to have money.
Yep.
Right.
Same principle can be applied to a successful channel. Parents
don't enforce. Now, you know, my younger sister didn't have to work in high school. She was she's now a professional athlete, but at the time she just had aspirations of being a professional athlete and, you know, really focused on her extracurricular, the sport that she played. And so she didn't have to work. She was allowed to, you know, have money to go to the movies and go out with her friends and given gas money because, you know, her school and her extracurricular was her job, is how my parents, or my mom and stepdad, looked at it.
She's putting forth
I did have a job in high school.
Right.
And I'm sure if I had chosen to try and perfect a sport or a craft of some kind, that would have been equally supported. But there was nothing I really wanted to do. So I had a job. I've worked since I was 14.
And to this day, you work your ass off on everything you put your hands on. Because of that learned work ethic. I worked at a jewelry store, at a higher-end jewelry store that one of my dad's really good friends owned. And I cleaned the bathrooms, and I wiped all the display shelves and display cases, and I polished the silver. That was my first job. And I did it every day after school from like 3 to 6 p.m. or 3 to 6:30 p.m. And I would work a couple Saturdays here and there, but by and large, I only worked after school because the need wasn't there on the weekend. I did the cleaning during the week. I made, I think, $5 an hour. And if I wanted to go, so roller skating, the skating rink was big when I was about 14, 15. And if I wanted to go to the skating rink, I had to have the $20 admission, and I had to work for it during the week, or I didn't get to go. So, and my dad could have very easily just given me all of these things, but he understood the importance of making me earn my own money. And again, everything you work on, even with gaming now, like you help Tom with his channel, and you guys have, excuse me, you guys have your hands in some other things that you're doing, gaming wise. But it's, as long as I've known you, your work ethic, like you guys are such hard workers. But that's
I would
again,
agree.
yeah. But again, that ties into what we're talking about is parents quote unquote forcing their children to do something other than stream or other than play games. You know, you end up with a bunch of arguing, and if you let them play, well, then that's all they're going to do is play games. And while they might get good at the game, okay, or they might get good at streaming, if they're not learning a work ethic, if they're not learning that Life isn't everything about what you want to do when you want to do it. That there's you have to learn that there's other things in life that you have to do that you don't want to do. Because
and I think the biggest difference between now and then is I know we joke a lot about the participation trophy and things like that, but I think growing up, we all learned humility. We all learned that second place, yeah, that's good, but it's not the best. Like, you should want the best for yourself.
Yep.
You should strive for the best of yourself. And now no, you did really good. You're the first loser. I mean, like, you came in second place. No, that is the first loser.
Yep.
You did not try hard enough. You did not work hard enough for it. And I think that's kind of what it was instilled in all of us growing up. And you just don't see it now. Like, the only thing they want to be the best at is Fortnite kills,
Yep.
my triple double no scope bullshit. Like that's the aspiration of being the best at.
Right.
Whereas, I was in Little League and, nope. There was a clear and defined winner and a clear and defined loser. It wasn't just, I'll play, we're not keeping score.
Right. And that, and honestly, as much as we talk about gaming as a career, there's a difference between when we talk about a resume, because you're going to need a resume or a portfolio if you should choose to do this. And it can lead to other stuff that's unexpected. But the point is that if all you did was ever play video games, you might be the best at Fortnite. You might be the best at this or the best at that, but not everybody who's the best at something gets to be a big star, gets to be paid $1 million to go to some place in California and talk about the game and all of that. Like, it's the same thing as rock stars and athletes. Like, a very small, tiny percentage of people actually get that far and get to go do that. There's so many basketball players that are better than the people that we're rooting on right now that nobody knows.
Now they haven't been taught to lose, which is even worse. That they haven't taught to, get that soul crushing. Now they just rage out when they don't, because they've never dealt with it as they were getting these life skills that they're lacking.
Yep, and parents are trying to still instill that with you, or with their children who are gamers and or streamers, and trying to balance that, and trying to give them the time they need. I would hope they would be, and be able to still instill a good work ethic, and to get them to realize those things, to learn humility, to learn I guess how to lose gracefully, and to take away something positive from a negative outcome. A good example of this, and again, it's kind of straying off it, but you have somebody who spends all their time working really hard at their company or whatever they're doing, and they become rich. And then something happens and they get sued and they lose everything. The reason why rich people stay rich is not because they don't write checks or any of the funny jokes we make. It's because that they understand work ethic. They understand all of these things that you need for a success you need to have as a person to be successful in anything you do, be it gaming, professional gaming, a regular job, streaming, whatever. You got it. You need to have all that stuff, because life is nothing but one soul-crushing soul suck that's interrupted by brief periods of joy and happiness and success.
I mean, you want the prime example of that is also, look at Amazon. Started, 23 years ago? The dude was selling freaking books out of his garage.
Yep.
And now is one of the most wealthy people in the freaking world.
And if tomorrow he was broke, all he would need would be some time. Because he did it once, he could do it again, right? That's my point. Absolutely. Understand humility, have a good work ethic, and you can be successful at something even after losing at it. 50,000 subscribers and your channel gets shut down. What are you going to do? Cry about it? Or are you just going to take some time and rebuild it? That's my point. Parents of gamers, I guarantee you that no matter what you think, that they're looking out for your best interests as their child. And they want the best for you. And, the back and forth that we've been talking about how do you deal with this? As parents, what is it like? Well, now we know. You know, we've explored all of that, and you know, I mean, I don't know what else more there is.
I have a thought.
Okay.
It's not a very well thought out thought yet because it just kind of popped into my head. But it's almost like this is a pretty far-fetched concept, but hear me out before you roll your eyes. I wonder if, in a way, the participation trophies have encouraged kids to want to get on and be the best at a game.
You mean in a positive manner?
No. So, when I was growing up, everyone got a small trophy for being on a team, right?
Mhm.
Like, you got, like, some commemorative something.
Yep.
Hey, you played on this Little League team. Good job. Maybe it was a t-shirt. I had a couple of little tiny trophies. Whatever. But, like, the really good players got the cool as fuck trophy, right? The big one.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. Everybody gets the same shit now.
Yep.
So you
Or
go
if there
online
is a big trophy, it goes home with the
to
coach.
be the best that you can be, to have the coolest skins, the coolest guns, sights, the biggest kill average, your kill to death ratio to be super good. They're striving for something because there's nothing to strive for outside of the online realm.
Right. That's
Yeah, but
Like-
now
that's a
but
double-edged
nowadays-
sword there. That's what you're talking about.
right. But also nowadays there is no grind because if you want the coolest gun or the coolest skin, all you do is you pay for it now.
Yep. In the
Right,
games
but-
that allow
but
you to
there's
buy it
still
early.
some level of grinding in a lot of games that you have to work your ass off to achieve it, and you have to spend hours in there. And you know, schools are doing away with valedictorians now, and you get a
Schools don't even
participation
have
trophy
homework
no matter
anymore.
what.
They
Right.
don't
Do
even
what?
give homework.
So what's the point in
Yeah,
trying
like-
if there's no chance to stand out, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then they pursue this online, and when you throw in everything else we've talked about, it's a recipe for personal disaster.
Like, hey, look, like my name is at the top of the screen because I killed more people than
Yep.
other people.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yep.
just picturing or I drove faster and hit fewer things.
Right.
And if they have
You
to
know,
get a
so now you're
job,
getting
that shit doesn't
recognition.
matter at a job. Nobody cares. One dude there might care because he plays the same game, but they haven't had any real life experiences. And if they haven't learned humility, well, then there you go.
And I think that I mean, do I think that kids should get a little something to commemorate time spent? Sure.
Yep.
Do I think that everyone should get the same thing, no matter how good or bad you are? No. Do I think scores should be kept? And I'm not talking about your little pee-wee baseball or your little, 3-year-old soccer games. I'm not talking about that. Because that just encourages kids to learn how to play together.
Yep.
Right.
To interact
You're
with other
talking about
humans.
kids who have the cognitive ability to understand the difference.
Yeah,
Like,
eight-
at 3
eight-
years old, I
eight
don't
and
think you have that. I need to do better.
Right, 8 and older, I think it is.
Like I would say even kindergarten age, you understand that Tommy that sits next to me is better at math and I'm better at English. So I should try and get better at math so that I can be as good or better than him.
But see,
Like,
now
you get that.
it doesn't, with them coming into the workforce, right? So you're talking about the millennial generation getting into the workforce now. That's kind of started this whole revolution.
Right.
Now, as a manager of these associates, this mentality doesn't transfer into the workplace, where your job is now performance based, right? So most jobs, you produce this amount, and like that's the expectation, and that's what'll keep you working. We get the pushback as managers to, I just want to know what's good enough. And it's such a poor attitude. Like when I got into the workforce, X amount of years ago, it was, I saw Jimmy next to me and I was determined to be better than him. I was determined to stand out. And now the workforce itself is just what'll let me get my paycheck and just give me bare minimum. And there's no pride in that like it was many, many years ago, where it's like, I want to be the best. I want to move up. I want to, but I don't see that. And I deal with hundreds of people on a daily basis. And when I tell you that it's maybe in 2% of the people, that's a lot.
And that stems from that all stems from everything that we've talked about tonight.
Well, I think it ties in perfectly.
Yep, there's a lack of that stuff.
They want to be the best at a video game, but don't want to be the best in real life.
And to reiterate that you know the any disconnect between real, quote unquote, real jobs or the workforce, as opposed to being a streamer or a YouTuber for a living. Let me tell you, folks, as someone who had some medical problems, and now I'm in a situation where I can't really go to work all day long. Like my transportation options are limited. This just turns out to be the best, most effective way of me to spend my time. But there's not a lot of money in it. There's just not. I don't care until it's just like rock stars or athletes or whatever. You could be semi-pro and make money, but until you're a pro, you're not going to make the money you think you are at it. So therefore, the workforce comes in handy. And what we're talking about here is a lack of these skills because people have parents. Some kids have parents who have let them play nothing but video games, and that's what they're really good at. It doesn't translate into real world skills, is what Tom is talking about. Correct, Tom?
Correct. Like, did you stop once you hit 1,000 subscribers and say, okay, that's good enough for me to be monetized, and I hit my view time?
Yep. Now no. I just let the views roll in, and I'm going to get rich. That's not the way it works.
Right, and you personally know that not everyone can be I don't know, name me a really influential YouTuber gamer.
Ace.
Well, I think she's talking even bigger than that. Well,
even bigger than him.
We've talked about it. We've mentioned his name already. So Ninja.
Mace Pilot 2K7.
Okay,
please don't misunderstand that.
Ninja.
But
that's the name that everybody knows.
Please.
Everybody's heard the name Ninja.
Even bigger than that.
Ninja, Shroud, Summit,
Summit.
Like any of
yeah. So the top tier, the top 1/4% of streamers.
Right. And you know what they do? They get on every single day and have for ages, and they stream for hours a day.
And they started out streaming to nobody, just like the rest of us. We brought up Ace Pilot 2K7, right? We've had him on the show. We've talked about how long he's been doing this, right? He has been at YouTube for over 12 years. Now, granted, a portion of those years, there was not a lot of activity. So let's just take out 3 years out of that equation. So 9 years. And he has only recently gotten to a point to where he could actually not have to work a job or have supplemental income. And he still has it rough. And he's still not rolling in dough. And he still works 18-hour days. And he still has issues where he streams to. For him, anything less than 100, that is a very low number. You know, when you're used to 200-300 people on your streams, and I've seen him with streams where he's got 97 people watching an hour into it. So translate that back down into a small new channel. Everybody started to nobody. And not everybody who streams 18 hours a day for the next 10 years is guaranteed to be at that point. Correct?
No, because some people are just not going to make it.
Nope.
And you need to and once you realize that, you hang up your hat and you move on.
Yep.
Right. Not everybody's watchable.
Yep. Or you just do it because you love it. And if you're doing something you love, it never seems like work, even if it's only a part-time hobby that makes you a few $100s a month 5 years from now. That's a hobby that makes money.
Perfectly acceptable.
Yep. And again, I think this is perfect. This ties into what we're talking about. You know, I hate to be the preachy parents this, parents that, but that's the premise of this particular episode. And it's another good point for young people to consider when they're having a source of contention over streaming, over gaming with their parents. You know, your parents are looking out for you years down the road, not next week, not next year.
Hallelujah.
Right.
You know, they want you successful for a lifetime, not as long as you're popular.
We've been through it a lot longer than these kids have.
Yep, exactly. So I think that kind of worked a rant in there too, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, Walter's got Bud Light older than most of the people that we're talking about.
Oh, Lord.
Thank God for the aligned aluminum can. That was like a piece of tech that Walter was like, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's right.
That's right. A screw top aluminum can. Absolutely.
Right.
You know what? I think they need to start putting sodas in those, to be honest with you. They don't do it enough. I'm tired of plastic.
I kind of agree with you on that.
Yep.
I do like that.
I'm sick of plastic. Bring back metal. Bring back glass, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, so people, we're protecting ourselves from people.
Yeah, I hate the pull tab on the Coke.
That's the pull tab. That's right. The pull tabs that you used to cut shit out of yourself with. That's right.
Well, not only that, but once you pull it, you got to drink it. You can't put it back in the refrigerator.
That's right. You can't put the screw top back on, right? Good
and because
Lord.
this show got a little ranty today, I had like a complete opposite of where your voice matters.
You had a moment of brevity.
That I did.
You did. That See,
like
it's always good to change things up. We didn't do the normal show format. We did more of a roundtable discussion tonight. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope everybody in chat, I see all you there. There was a Canadian something or other. It's not on my screen, so I can't remember. But I see you there. And is it Habeen or Jabeen Pedroza? Larry's out there. Dave, our police officer friend Dave from Milwaukee. We ought to have Dave on one time. Some people have said we should have a real police officer on.
I'm all for it.
We ought to have some police officers on and talk about that too. But there's some good content there. But last minute thoughts from around the room. Anybody have anything that stands out?
So if you'd like my non-rant rant, I could do that real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
So tying into the whole, working hard and pushing forward and actually fighting for something. Like, you heard about that Sonic movie coming out, right? Sonic the Hedgehog, bringing it back to our old school.
Yep.
So much outcry from the, our generation that they're actually changing it to make it look more like Sonic.
Oh. Wow.
Hollywood is going to bend to our will on that. There was so much push that didn't look like Sonic. And,
no, it looked stupid.
The new creators are pissed off about, their creative interpretation and expression. But
they picked something that isn't so friggin' iconic.
So with the teeth and however ridiculous it looked, if you go search those Google images of what it was supposed to be, it was our voice and fighting that said, don't bastardize.
It looks like a
icon.
blue version of the little kid from Jumanji.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
So the producer and everything said that they were going to redo it. That it's going to look like our Sonic.
Good.
About time the people stood up for themselves.
That's awesome, because that doesn't happen too often in this world anymore. The people who hold the keys to the paychecks are the ones who call the shots. I watched a video the other day for the actors who are in the Marvel flicks. Now, Marvel obviously owned by Disney, or at least Disney is their overlords. They're all of our overlords. Hail Lord Disney. But the
Black Mouse.
It was like a list of 15 crazy demands that they make of their actors, and some of it is just outright ridiculous. And I just don't want. That's a whole different discussion. But that's I mentioned that to push the point that the keys to the lockbox for the paychecks, those people call the shots in a lot of ways. Even our paymasters here at WCTR.
I'll expect my check in the mail, please.
Yeah, it goes out 2 to 4 weeks for guests, pal. If you don't like it, you can talk to Rodney, the production director.
I'll get my ticket now.
Oh, good Lord. So, Z-Mom, any last thoughts?
Well, I just think that parents really need to try and find that balance between letting their kids spend all the time gaming and teaching them real life skills.
Yep.
Because time goes fast, and all of a sudden they're adults going off on their own. Are they going to be able to survive out on their own?
So don't let the video games and all of the hubbub of current society take parents away. That's a message to parents of gamers, let's just say, right? Don't let that cloud. Don't let current technology and the way society is going cloud it.
But also get involved with if your kid's going to be gaming, and really that's not a bad thing. Get involved with them.
Yep. And one parent to others, it's not, there's no shame in sucking at a game in your living room.
Oh, God
just to be with, just to be out to spend time on your child's level. That's healthy for an adult too. Even if you don't like video gaming, just go fake that shit for an hour, and it'll do way more than a year's worth of lectures will ever do.
Well, and eventually you'll get there, but
yeah.
I know I got
yeah, and kids play. On that note, play Mortal Kombat with your mom or dad, and tell them just to mash all the buttons so they can win from time to time.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. What about you, Walter? Any last minute thoughts on the way out?
No, just to the kids, like I keep saying, you only have one mother, one father.
Yep.
But you know what? Do what you want. You know what? Be more respectful. The only other thing is, I wish the schools nowadays taught you about today, not 100,000 years ago.
Yep. Exactly. See, that's a good idea, that they should have. History is important. We need to know where we came from.
Right.
If we don't learn from the past, right? Yeah. But I think you have a point. What's the opposite of history? Like future? Like we need to have a future class. Or now a present class. Yeah, there you go.
Present. I mean, not learning about the War of 1812.
Yeah.
That's overdone with. Yeah, you want to talk about that, fine, but you know what? The kids need to know about today. I mean, yes, it starts with the parents, it starts at home, but it also extends to the school system.
Yep.
So that way kids can learn about
smart
today.
Kids don't feel like you can't ask for that stuff.
Right.
I mean, don't feel like you have a voice the same and all of that. So and kids that are teenagers that work and pay taxes, you have more of a voice in this country. Merc.
Yep. And they need homework. They don't give homework anymore. There's no such thing as homework anymore.
I'm torn on that because they got chores to do when they get home.
Yeah, but still, homework is good.
I had a choice to do when I got home, and I still had to do my homework when I actually did it.
Yeah, no more homework. There is no such thing. Well,
that's more of on my schedule. I've been looking at damn dirty dishes all day. They need to get home and do it.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Where's that kid? Do your damn chores.
Oh, good Lord.
They're at the movies right now, see? So there's their chores.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right, so this was a good one. I like this. I love how Bell and Tom, how we get these ideas, and one of us gets an idea, and we just continue to push the envelope. And you guys are used to a format. We threw the middle finger up tonight and did something completely different. I love
my
it.
usual.
Right, and so that puts a cap on 18, right?
Yeah.
Nice cap. So
very nice.
So very Tom, nice. Is the 2 more weeks going to work out with that schedule? Is that what it's looking like?
That's exactly what it looks like.
Oh hell! So we have 2 more on YouTube, and then we're going to take a few weeks off and relaunch on Twitch.
Very nice.
On a different night and a different time.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that. So next week, I'm working on a guest, and I'm not going to say who it is, but y'all will love it. Y'all will absolutely love it. Everybody in this room here will love it.
I like surprises.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't like surprises. So who is it? No,
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to spill the beans because if it doesn't happen, I don't want people to be upset. It's that big. So
Well, you always got us to fall on, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I can tell you guys. Well, we've talked about it before. How about that? It was a very big possibility before, and with recent events, it is becoming like it may happen sooner than we thought.
Cool.
And you guys know who it is, then?
I believe so. Yes.
So yeah. But I'm not gonna say it. Yep. So yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you again, Walter, for the super chat. Thank you, Z-Mom and Walter, for being here as the voice
no problem. Anytime.
the voice of gaming opposition. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And Belle, Tom, love you guys so much.
Oh, you know we love you, Buddha Bear, and all the guys in the audience and gals in the audience who come and hang out with us on their Friday night, and
Could be
all
something
of our
else.
all of our guests that have
That's right.
joined.
That's right.
Especially these two.
Especially these two. Yep, absolutely. And that is number 18 in the basket, and I couldn't be happy. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Tom and Belle and Walter and Mom.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we will see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.